Hey there, it's Leanne Oaten here, and welcome to today's video all about self-care, self-care guilt, and why you really need to care about prioritizing your self-care and putting yourself at the top of the to-do list. So one of the things that I hear a lot from women, the clients that I work with and inside of my different communities, is that there's a lot of guilt factor around taking time for themselves and making themselves a priority within their family, with their kids, with their partner, and finding a way to really rise above the feeling of that they have to give so much of themselves, and taking time for themselves is just not something that they're necessarily comfortable with, and that there is guilt involved in that. And so one of the things that I always say about guilt is that there is a purpose to guilt, but only to a degree. So if you're doing something that you should feel guilty for, you harmed somebody, you've stolen something, you ripped somebody off, you've done something illegal, wrong, immoral, painful to another person, then of course the guilt is there to shine a light on maybe where you need to direct your attention to make amends, change a behavior, start doing something different. That's a very different topic and subject. That really means that you need to look at changing your behaviors and doing different things. What I'm talking about is the guilt around taking time for you, the guilt around self-pleasure and self-care and doing things that really make you feel good. What I would want to ask you if I was sitting, screen to screen like this, or face to face with you, if you were a client, I would say, where's the guilt coming from? And to really just start writing about that. Why does it feel like I'm doing something wrong when I take time out that is just about my needs? Okay, so I'm going to go over 5 reasons why you need to prioritize your self-care as a way to set the foundation for your entire life, your marriage, your relationships, with your parenting, with your children, in your work, your business, and how self-care is just so fundamental. It's like if you're going to build a house, you can't do that on quicksand. The thing's just gonna go rolling off the hill at the first sign of trouble. With self-care and putting ourselves at the top of the list, and I know this is hard for women, but it's essential. So when we're able to do that, the stuff that does come along won't knock us completely off our center, because we have that foundation in place. So that is the perfect segue into reason number 1, is that when we have a really solid understanding of what real self-care is beyond bubble baths, pedicures, and days at the spa and massages, those are all part of it, but they're only the surface measures, and quite often the effects of those things wear off quite rapidly. So this is what I'm talking about the deep, sacred self-care. The self-care that is just a way of being, and I teach my clients about this in our coaching and in my programs. But really, when we know how to do self-care properly, to get rid of that guilt feeling and do it anyways, make the time, to stop making excuses that we don't have the time, and to find a way. So we can cope with stress and become so much more resilient when we're taking the time out to really deeply care for our entire being. This goes for mental, emotional, physical, spiritual wellness. It all counts, and it's all part of the equation. The second one is that when you are prioritizing yourself and you're filling up your cup every day, not just once a week, you're doing this on a continual basis. You're asking yourself, what do I need right now? What do I need in this moment? What is my body asking me to do? When we can live from this deeply self-connected, soul-connected place, and to really discern where we're going to put our energy and where we're not going to put our energy, we have more energy. We have more focus for the things that we truly want to do for our immediate families and our loved ones and our really close soul friendships, for our work, our clients, our business, our career, for our children. We can show up as a much better version of ourselves when we're doing it from a place of wholeness and fullness, rather than fear, rather than guilt, rather than, oh, I feel so bad, I should do this or I shouldn't do that. when we come at it from those places, that's just a recipe for resentment and eventual burnout. If we're continuing to give from an empty well, we're just running on fumes basically. And this is when I see women often is in this state of complete overwhelm. They're just totally worn down, they're depleted and just stressed out to the max, frazzled, and some of the exhaustion and symptoms of adrenal fatigue start to come into play. And this is why when I treat women with adrenal fatigue, we don't really go too much into the nutrition and what you should eat and what you shouldn't eat, because that's just it's a part of it for sure. But if you're just doing that and you're not dealing with all of these other pieces as far as lifestyle, your relationships, dealing with your stress in a proper, healthy way to become more resilient, it's going to have little effect. So that's why this is all part of recovering from exhaustion and burnout. So the third one is that when we are filling ourselves up from other places, from things that really nourish us on a deep level, we curb things like mindless eating, stress eating, emotional eating. These are things that tend to come into play for women when they're feeling that they're not getting some kind of needs met in other ways. They're feeling like they're hungry for something and they don't know what. It's that feeling like that insatiable hunger and you're looking to fill a void, and sometimes we reach for food to do that. So the more self-care you have in play and the more you're caring for all areas of your life and looking at what really needs your attention the most right now and putting your energy and focus into that, then a lot of times these mindless eating episodes tend to just start to resolve themselves. And then the next one is that we're leading for our daughters. If you don't have a daughter, maybe you have other girls in your life, or even just leading for other women in your life. So for me, I have 2 daughters, so I continually am looking at how do I want them to remember how mom took care of herself, how mom stood up for herself, how I took time for me. And they see me all the time doing things like definitely having my baths as my nightly routine and doing some reading or listening to something that is really inspiring. They see me doing these things and they know that I take really good care of myself. They know that I have to go for my daily walk or else I just feel like something's missing. They see me doing my yoga and movement stuff in the living room, the middle of the living room. They see me standing up for myself in other areas of my life and in my marriage. And they are seeing me model it. So whatever it is that you're doing, wherever you're at with this, you're modeling that for your daughter or other girls or women in your life. So is that something that you want to model? Is this something that you would want your loved ones in your life to model? And if not, then that's a really good indicator that something needs to shift. And then the last one, it's a very big one, but I'm going to just say it real quick, is that we teach others how we want to be treated by how we treat ourselves. If I'm not honoring and respecting me, then I'm likely going to put up with other treatment and behaviors that aren't feeling very respectful either. And this is something I definitely have had to learn in my life, is looking at when I have been mistreated or feeling like somebody was being really hurtful toward me. It's really turning it inward and going, well, why am I putting up with that in the first place? Like, how am I treating me like that? How am I disrespecting me? How am I neglecting me and not loving me? And we teach people how we want to be treated by how we show up for ourselves. So deeply, deeply honor yourself enough to stop with the excuses of, I feel guilty for taking time for myself. Because it's a story and all it's going to do is run you into the ground. So, I'm speaking from personal experience with this, but also with countless clients I've worked with over the past 6+ years. It sounds so simple to say, self-care is all these wonderful things, and it is, but it goes much deeper than the occasional bubble bath or taking the occasional break. The self-care I'm talking about is sacred, and it's very deep, and it's very self-loving. So if this really inspires you and you're feeling like, yes, this is exactly what I need, I have some resources over on my website if you'd like to check them out, leanneoten.com. And there's blogs on there, there's my podcast, there's so many other resources that can help you take this to the next level. I also have some do-it-yourself programs and things you can check out on there as well. But really, to end this on a high note, where are you neglecting yourself? So if you're looking at it from mental, emotional, physical, spiritual health, where are you not showing up for you? And then take some action this week to start filling in those gaps. And if you'd like some help with this, you can also apply for a complimentary initial breakthrough session on my website. And so that again is leanneoten.com. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please share it out with other women in your life that you know and love, because every woman needs to hear this message.